I'll now call the. I'll now call the meeting of the October 18th Victoria Planning Commission to order. Our first order of business tonight is to adopt the agenda for tonight's meeting. Commissioners, do I have a motion to adopt the final agenda?
I move that we adopt the final agenda for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Our next agenda item will be the approval of minutes for the August 16th, 2022 Planning Commission. Commissioners, are a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes from the August 16th meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Pedersen. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Commissioner Ream, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. The next order of business is to adopt our meeting minutes from our September 6th, 2022 Planning Commission. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner Kuhn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Murray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Next on our item of agendas is to adopt the minutes from our September 20th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. All right, so our next discussion item is item 3.1, to consider a variance request from the principal's use of front yard setback requirement in the R2 district for property located at 9085 Meadows Drive. This is going to require a public hearing. I will now turn over to our staff planner, Isaac Peterson, for a presentation.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. As noted, the commission will be reviewing a variance request for a front yard setback variance at 9085 Meadows Drive. Again, the property is located within the R2 zoning district, and it's located on this corner lot shown at the intersection of Meadows Drive and Isabel Drive. Again, that this is the neighborhood it's located in is zoned strictly under the R2 zoning district category and not as a PUD, so it's subject to those R2 zoning district regulations. The applicants are Dan and Ashley McHugh. Mr. McHugh joins us here this evening along with his builder contractor. So the proposal here before the commission this evening is for the applicant to construct a building addition to their existing home that would encroach approximately 8 feet within the required 25-foot front yard setback. So as the commission is aware, within the R2 zoning district, the required minimum front yard setback is 25 feet, along with several other bulk and setback requirements within the district. The property owner is requesting the variance based on the following proposed rationale. One being that due to the unique odd pie-shaped lot and orientation, there's very little usable area for the addition that they're seeking to construct. Also that they cannot accomplish their proposed addition without the noted 8-foot encroachment or reduction in the front yard setback requirement. Noting that a majority of homes in the neighborhood have an 8-foot side yard setback, which is the required side yard setback in the R2 zoning district. Also that the proposed variance of 8 feet into the front yard setback is a reasonable request and expected that would otherwise blend well within the existing neighborhood. So on the screen here before you is the proposed survey or orientation of what's being requested. Based on the lot orientation, there is double frontages on the lot, which would make it a corner lot. So both sides of the property are required to hit that front yard setback. strictly by right. So you have Isabel Drive on the south side of the property and Meadows Drive on the north side of the property here. The addition is a 20 by 20 foot addition that you can see kind of peeks into where the curvature of the southwestern side of the property is. So as the commission is aware, the city zoning code prescribes different criteria that are based on state statute for reviewing variance requests. Those criteria are that variances will be granted if the request meets the following, one being that the property owner proposes to use the property in a reasonable manner, not permitted by code. Two, that the plight of the landowner is due to circumstances unique to the property and not created by the landowner or previous landowners. That the variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality or neighborhood. And that economic considerations alone do not constitute the practical difficulties noted in the request. The commission, acting as the Board of Adjustments and Appeals, may impose conditions in the granting of variances. If a condition is recommended for approval, it must be directly related to and bear a rough proportionality to the impact created by the variance. Additionally, the commission, acting as the Board of Adjustments and Appeals, will not recommend to the council in granting a variance unless they find the following facts: that one being strict enforcement or interpretation, the ordinance would result in a practical difficulty or undue hardship inconsistent with the intent of the zoning code, that there are exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applicable to the property that do not generally apply to other properties within the same zoning district, that granting the variance will not adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare or be detrimental to the property or improvements to the neighborhood, and that granting the variance will not permit a use which is otherwise not permitted within the zoning district in question. Upon staff's review of the proposed variance requests, they're not all that different than many of the variance requests that the commission's reviewed over the last several months here. There is a unique kind of element to the property, being that it is that kind of irregular three-sided pie shape. Generally, as the commission knows, unique shaped lots may be used as a rationale in granting a variance, and the commission should really consider whether it's the orientation and shape of the lot that's causing a hardship for the property owner's request when considering the variance request. Generally, staff is supportive of the variance and believes that there is some form of practical difficulty present on the lot. Again, this item does require a public hearing. Neighborhood notices have been sent and staff hasn't received any public comment to date. So we'd recommend that the commission hear any public comment heard. Again, the applicant is here this evening and I believe would be willing to speak or answer any questions that the commission may have on the variance request. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Isaac. We now have to have a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the chambers this evening who wishes to comment on this variance request? If so, please speak at the podium and state your name and address. All right, hearing no additional public input at this time, commissioners, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you, Commissioner. May I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Hearing none, the motion carries and the public hearing is closed. I will now open the floor for the planning commissioner to discuss any commissioner's questions or comments.
Isaac, can you pull up the lot survey? So are we considering this 2 front yards and no rear yard?
Yeah. Commissioner Kuhn, chair, members of the commission, so just based on the 3 sides of the property, there would be only 1 side yard and then 2 front yards on the property, no rear yard.
And how close does that patio get to, that's not in the 8-foot area? Or to the sidewalk or to the lot line?
Commissioner Kuhn, Chair, members of the commission, I believe it is approximately about 13 feet from property line to that patio that's shown. I will note that patios in general have different setback requirements than principal structures or what's being sought through this variance request.
Do we have any other questions?
My only question would be the amount of hardscape versus permeable, semi-permeable, all that sort of stuff. We're still within the limits, correct?
Yeah, Commissioner Pedersen, Chair, members of the commission, it is below the maximum permitted impervious surface, which is 40% of the total lot area. I believe it's under 30% based on the proposal.
I mean, we're talking like 100 feet or 50 square feet.
Any other questions? Isaac, I just have a question for staff. Were there any concerns of any of the other neighbors surrounding the project?
No, staff did send out that neighborhood notice within 350 feet, so didn't receive any public comment. So just with that in mind, we're assuming that there isn't any activated concern with the request.
Yeah, and I'm going to presume, Dan, actually you're here tonight, correct? Yeah. Did you get any letters of support from your neighbors saying, hey, we think this is a great idea?
In conversation, we've had support from neighbors.
All right. Great, thank you. Very good. Then if there are no more questions, I think we'll move on. I just wanted to say, Dan, thanks for choosing to invest in your home, invest in Victoria as a community, and putting forth the desire to stay and make your home work for you, then choose to leave the community and go elsewhere. So thank you. That being said, if commissioners hearing no more discussion, I'd like to ask for a motion.
I'll move to recommend approval of the application for variance for the principal use front yard setback requirement of section 24-2F for the property located at 9085 Meadows Drive, subject to the conditions as presented and discussed.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And I think we are ready to move off of this agenda item. All right, so we'll move on to the miscellaneous section of our agenda tonight. Isaac, Jen, do you have any items that you'd like to bring for the commission?
Certainly, one item, Acting Chair Ivansky. So as some of you know, this will actually be my last planning commission here with the city of Victoria. Actually, recently accepted a position with another community in the North Metro, so I'll be transitioning over to city of Shoreview here shortly. So I just wanted to say it's been a real pleasure to work with the commission over the last couple of years here, along with city staff and the residents of the community. I've nothing but great things to say about the city of Victoria. Know that there's a lot of cool and exciting things happening. So it's been a real treat to work with you all. And as I've told many of you before, you all do the hard work for the city and do a lot of the heavy lifting, and I've appreciated working with you all.
Thank you, Isaac. Commissioners, do you have any miscellaneous items you'd like to bring?
I can comment on the city council and the workshop that occurred on the 26th of September. There may have been an additional city council meeting after this date of the 26th, and whoever that may be can comment there. First, I'll comment on the workshop meeting. So the meeting was basically to review and discuss the parking data. Historical information, to go back to 2018, there was a 10-member task force created. In 2019, findings were used in a model for future parking needs and future development. July of 2022, they updated the counts with including off-street and on-street parking. The findings were in the core of downtown, there's 387 stalls, but 436 stalls are outside of the core, which includes a decent amount of private stalls. And so the additional work that's going to be done with this service provider that the city's contacted, this parking specialist, they're going to really kind of dive more into the utilization and, make sure that we're planning appropriately and counting our stalls right in relation to the uses and the distance in which they may walk to park. Hopefully that's a fair assessment.
Wasn't there something about the parking being reviewed during weekdays, whereas the highest utilization is probably Friday and Saturday nights? And so that there was some comment about looking at it at different times?
Yeah, members of the commission, so what was conducted was just updated parking counts. There were weekend counts along with that to provide a snapshot and update previous work that had been done. And really, most of the findings were that there is a kind of return to the peak that was being experienced prior to COVID occurring, so they're starting to stabilize or return to the former normal, so to speak.
When will that study be concluded? Do you know?
Actually, may hand it off to Community Development Director Brewington.
Yeah, we are going to be working internally, staff, to review that again and just come up with a plan of what to do with that information and data. Obviously, we've got quite a few developments in the community, so we really want to dial down to what that parking looks like. Of course, there's projects being proposed across the street as well, so you will be seeing some more information on parking throughout the community. We've just had a little hiccup with timing and trying to get all staff together, so we should be able to get this out to the group in the community soon. We do want to visit with the VBA too and some of our local business owners just to make sure they're up to date with parking and just have some discussions around how do we work with that employee parking piece as well. We did do some data around that and where the employees are parking downtown. So that's one item of that parking discussion that we need to talk about a little bit more.
Great. Thanks for that additional summary there. So that's pretty much the workshop meeting. The regular city council meeting, there were many just consent agenda items. Nothing too exciting in that regard. But on the regular agenda, there was the final plat and zoning for the Brookmar First Edition property that Lennar is developing. This was, if you guys recall, this is the property that is just north, it's probably pretty close to you. It's north of Holy Family and south of 78th, just a little under 14 acres. That did get final approval. Something that's interesting to note, they did, we went round and around the park, if you guys recall. That was an item that we felt felt that strongly that it needed to have a larger park, and so that was approved. So 1.26 acres was required, but 2.7 acres was proposed. So an overage of 1.91 acres was applied to future Brookmar additions. So, and in the exact location that was previously proposed. That's all I have.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I would say that the next council meeting that was blocked out for us to have comment on was mine, and I'm not prepared, so I'm going to table that for now and move on to our next meeting. So that said, commissioners, are there any other final items from you? Great, thanks. I would just like to throw in for myself, it's been a pleasure working with Isaac over the time that at least I've been on the commission. Those who probably have a longer term on the planning commission have more experience. You've brought a great degree of professionalism. We've watched you grow in your role, and if I could speak for all of us, I would like to say that thank you for your contributions. You're going to be sorely missed. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck to you. Godspeed.
Second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
You will be missed.
All right, well, if there are no more items to come before the commission this evening, commissioners, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're adjourned.